sorry, real quick, Jason, that's
Yes.
1,500 to 2,500 monthly, or?
No, that's an annual.
Yearly.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that's a lot of money.
Right.
Okay.
Glad you clarified that.
Because people watching the video wouldn't know the difference.
The motion is to table that, but realistically, we've already approved it. So we're going to
Whatever best quote you get.
table that consideration now because it's already been approved. So do I have a second to that?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table to review the proposed liability insurance because it has already been approved to secure it at the best rate for the most protection we could. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, we're going to see discussion and consideration and approve and amend as necessary purchasing policy be implemented.
Okay.
Hopefully you have a copy of this.
Yes, I've provided this, I think, to everyone.
This is the complete one that
Yes.
you started, you went over with it, what you had last time.
Right, but I do have a few questions that I want to kind of go over.
Which one are we asking?
We're actually,
The smaller one.
yes. Okay, this is just an effort to have some sort of guideline in place that for purchases of the Floresville Economic Development Corporation and how they're handled. A lot of this, and really all of it's copied from the City of Seguin's purchasing policy. All right, they've been, as I've mentioned in previous meetings, they've always been willing to provide us some documents that we can, that they just say, hey, you can use if it helps you. One question I do have, if you read that first section here, it talks about you can make a local purchase less than $250. Well, as I was going through this, I was thinking, well, even Walmart wouldn't have maybe our print cartridges, you know, so we might have to make some purchases outside of the local area. So my thinking was almost to maybe amend that and just in general purchases, you know, because really we don't have all the stores here locally that we could possibly get some of those supplies from. What were your thoughts on that?
So try in that first sentence, make purchases less than $250.
I would just say call it purchases, okay? And that would be the executive director, yes.
Strike local and just go capitalize purchases less than $250 do not require quote.
Yes. That was my thinking as I went through this a few more times and thought, well, that might really not work out because of those supplies. Yes. Okay, so sounds like we're good with that. Now the next sentence where it says local, then that whole deal would be just scratched, okay? So we're going to eliminate literally the third paragraph, okay? Then anywhere it says local, we're going to be taking out. All right, now what I'd like to do, if you notice where it talks about the stacking right here, I'd like to actually move that up underneath that main paragraph, and that's what I want to do because that really applies to everything we do. You know, we don't want to be stacking purchases trying to get underbid.
Well, number one says local purchases, so you want to take out the word local there.
Yeah, it's just going to be purchases.
Okay.
Okay. Then, so that pretty much resolves that. And then we talk about an invoice must be obtained for all purchases. No payment will be made without a proper invoice.
Could we have a statement in there that when possible and feasible, local purchases should be made?
Sure.
Do we want to have something like that in there?
Yeah.
But is it necessary?
Well, I would put a statement in there. We could put, we encourage to shop local first. You know, if not available elsewhere, something like that. Is that
Or if it's not price competitive.
Yeah.
Okay, so efforts should be made to shop local first, but if feasible, otherwise elsewhere. Okay, so we're going to add that.
Jason, can I say something?
Yes.
You know, the city just recently signed up on a whole bunch of co-op companies that gives us real low prices and stuff. I wonder if y'all couldn't go under that umbrella.
I'm sure we could, but we probably have to have some kind of agreement with the city, you know.
I mean,
But I've thought about that as
The
well.
cost of paper just went down the street.
Yeah, because there's really really our preference would be to probably handle it that way because you're getting a bigger rate
Yeah.
discount. And
Because I
that just
think we're
makes
doing
sense.
4A if I'm correct.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
some of the purchasing receipt has,
Well, that's something that we can address with
Just
probably
that you'll
just
have-
a
you know, you
little
talk to Andy
interlocal
about that.
agreement, and that could be this, we've talked about that too with even copying services and how we handle that,
Mhm.
you know.
Just talk to Andy and see if that, you know,
Okay.
it's a possibility.
Okay, so efforts should be made to purchase locally, if feasible. Otherwise elsewhere. Okay, now the second item Elaine made was the request of the banker, the $14,999.99. We had 99 cents on the end there because that was true, we were missing $1. So good catch there, okay? That was the only thing there. And that is the process. Let's just say that, now we're talking on a, really, if you've got a purchase you're gonna make that's gonna accrue to more than these dollar amounts, then you need to be getting those quotes. If it's a reoccurring contract service or something like cleaning, then we need to really have 3 quotes in the file that show that they were really competitive and they're the ones to go with. All right, of course, the board would have the final approval on those quotes. Then you get into anything over 15,000, I think your machines. The state has a $50,000 threshold when it comes to the public bid process, but we're setting ours much lower than that. Anything over 15,000, we're gonna ask for sealed bids. And it talks about specs would be included in the invitation to bid, similar to what we've just done with our entrance over here. And then the 4th item is request for proposals in dealing with professional services. And that's how professional services would be handled. Because when you look at professional services, whether it be legal, engineering, you really have to weigh the experience of those folks that you're hiring when you do that. Now, in item B, this is something that Seguin, for example, had in their deal. Now, they're much larger than we are, and they put some language in there that states that if you have a local bidder, they're giving those local businesses some opportunity to even be a little higher than some of their competitors from out of town. Okay, it says you're allowed to be within 3% of the lowest quote. Okay, then on the 15,000 over mark, they allow a 5% leeway of the lowest quote, which is simply designed to try to give a local business out. Now, that doesn't even have to be in there.
Put your money local if you can.
Yeah, that's good. Now, the one thing, once again, as I've read through this probably 4 different times, I got thinking about the city limits. You know, our city limits are not that big. Now, that's much, you know, Seguin's city limits, for example, are much bigger. So I was thinking it might make sense to consider just simply the word Floresville or Wilson County. You know, because how many people do you have in one particular area that might be able to bid on that certain service? I'm not sure. But that was the only thought there.
And the 3rd option would be reside within the Floresville ISD.
Yeah.
So that would be somewhere in between the city
Yeah.
and the county.
You know, I probably like that also. Because we need to identify the boundary. So, okay, so received from a business located within the Floresville ISD, residing within the Floresville, or would be conducting business?
Okay, then what definition conducting business, if they live in San Antonio, be
Well, so you want to say
so they say
residing?
personally or business
Well,
reside.
but if the business is here, we benefit from the taxes, and, you
Yeah.
know, so I don't care where they live, do you? Do you really care where the owner lives?
Okay, so then we need to say from a business.
Or business here, they live in San Antonio.
But we would benefit.
How about a business located within the Floresville ISD district? Right? Floresville Independent School District boundaries. Okay, I like that, good suggestion. It's located within the Floresville Independent School District boundaries. Okay. All right. Now, the insurance requirements there are simply stating that if you do business with the FEDC or on city property, of course, you know, proof of insurance is required. The insurance requirements are attached, as well as recurring expenses not requiring quotes, ones approved by the FEDC board, because you're gonna have water, sewer, gas, fuel, electricity, pagers, telephone, anything like that that recurs, legal services. You know, once they've been approved for that certain project, you don't have to go out and rebid them if they're already approved for that project, because you'll be able to write checks for those expenses. Then the last page is simply insurance requirements. Of course, these are much lower than what you have in this package. This is kind of a minimum, okay? It's very common for people to have GL coverage at $1 million. Very common to have automobile liability insurance at $500,000 combined single limit if you're a commercial business. Workers' compensation, that's currently at the minimum there. Cancellation of insurance, that's a common clause that if you have a cancellation of insurance, the FEDC would need to be notified, at least given 30 days of that notification before it cancels. We would also be included as an additional insured. And the waiver of subrogation, which means that simply that they cannot go after our policy, simply the insurance coverage they provide, you know, so they can't subrogate monies from any insurance policies the FEDC has or the city. Okay, so this just kind of gives us a really good guideline, and so let's go over the amendments. Well, any other questions? Okay, because you've read the other one, and the only thing we're adding tonight is the other 2 pages. But, so, I move that we approve the purchasing policy of the Floresville Economic Development Corporation with the following changes. Roman numeral 1A, item 1, take out local from the language there and add this statement after the first paragraph. Efforts should be made to purchase locally if feasible, otherwise elsewhere. Strike the 3rd paragraph, beginning with local, and I'll give you copies. And move the stacking paragraph up underneath the first statement of the first paragraph, because stacking applies to all these requests. And then under under letter B, Roman numeral 1, item B, we would simply strike city limits and replace within the Floresville Independent School District boundaries on both paragraphs A and B.
Located within the boundaries of the Floresville Independent School District.
Yes, located within the boundaries. Okay, you're correct.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Talley. Do I have a second?
Second.
Now then, I understand that, we went over this before, We've gone over the detail tonight. Is there any other questions though? Anybody uncomfortable with moving forward? If not,
I would just like to say we did a great job on
you stole my thunder.
this.
All right, well, thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. And to repeat again, thank you, Jason, for your work and effort you went into developing as a purchasing policy.
You bet.
It is much appreciated.
Thank you.
We're gonna move to the investment policy and all. And before we go forward, I understand that this is now a requirement that the cities, the FEDC, and all have to have in place and all. So I'm also gonna tell you, this is the first time I've seen it.
Yeah.
And I really don't feel comfortable moving forward to approve it without having time to read it.
Right.
So,
Now, let me also just add, this came to us through Laura Fagan's. This was basically the city investment policy, but we've just taken out the wording of the city and put in the FEDC in all the places on the policy itself, okay? And in a nutshell, what it does is simply just indicate which investments are acceptable, which ones are unacceptable, who the officers will be. What I would suggest is, I would agree with Andy, you know, everybody really needs to read this and understand what it means, and then we can proceed with some.
May I ask what options are there? Are there options to not do this? Or is this something that's prescribed and you need to do?
you have to have an investment policy.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be.
That's right. And there are investments we can make and can't make
Okay.
and all like that, but we just need time to possibly read through it and understand it. So I think it'd be appropriate, maybe we have a motion to table it. Next meeting, it'll be old business, we'll pull it up, you've had time to review it, we can proceed expeditiously
And
there.
I do want you to know too, I've read the city of Seguin's as well, and it reads almost verbatim in so many areas. So it's pretty standard language they use for this.
And that's what I suspect.
I'll move that we table.
Have a motion that we table
Development investment policy.
approval of investment policy at this time for further consideration after reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to table this. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. So next meeting, this will be under old business when we pull it up, you can kind of read it. We're continuing on down. We are now to item E, discussion, consideration, and obtaining an appraiser to appraise the house at Rancho Grande Industrial Park. Who put this on there?
I did. And the reason I did, because eventually we have, it was, you know, I have about 8 people that have called since it came out in the paper that, you know, we were considering possibly selling the house at the Rancho Grande. And my question was that, well, how are we gonna go about it in trying to get a real estate agent or somebody, you know, to get us a price. And that's why I put that appraiser from the appraisal office to give us an idea, but we need to do what procedures to do.
Okay.
That's my reasoning for trying to, you know, and I think the sooner that we can start on that, I think the better we can be.
Now, we have a couple of ways that you can, and this almost falls in with action item F about the real estate to promote the sale of the warehouse. We don't know what the value of the warehouse is either. You can come in and get appraisers, engage their services, you can get a market value analysis. Or we could go out and look for a certified appraiser to look at doing possibly both of them at the same time, save us a little bit of fun. If we're gonna go with the outside appraiser, we need to discuss if we're going to, it's gonna need to be a state certified appraiser, the general appraiser, because it's not residential, so it's gonna have to be a certified appraiser. And then what kind of appraisal we want? We're gonna want a restricted, self-contained, a summary. You know, there's a lot of questions we need to discuss and probably bring back in here the recommendation of what we're gonna do. On something like this, as small as they are, probably restricted, which means they don't give us a lot of information on it, but they give us where the detail is on it. I don't think we need to go through all the cost and income approach and things like that. We just need a market value. So we really need to maybe authorize a couple of come in here to do a discussion of how to come up with a proposal of what we would recommend in the way of an appraisal so that we can solicit bids on them.
Somebody get like a broker's opinion, costs a lot less money.
Market value analysis, broker's opinion, if you wanted it, it's one of the things you can do.
Because we, appraisal's gonna be a whole stack of papers we don't really need, we need money to work off of. People call him, they understand it's not for residential use, it's gonna be for business
Well, yeah,
use.
that, you know, they're told that it's not.
Okay, and that goes to the next one where we're talking about the selecting a real estate agent. If we're going to look at engaging a real estate agent, we need to possibly go to them with the terms that we want to offer on it instead. So we just can't go pull out one of the, now we need to possibly, my suggestion would be to come in and tell them, here's what we're gonna be requesting, and we're gonna offer 5% commissions and things like that, and at the areas or however you want to negotiate. We need to probably bring a recommendation in here on that area as well. So we want to go with a broker's opinion, we're going to need to engage in a realtor first. If we're going to want to go with an appraiser, we don't want to engage in a realtor until we have a value. So E and F are kind of overlapped.
Well, if we go with a broker's opinion, you know, we've got so many different folks in the local level we can choose. What's the real fair way to do that, you know?
I've been thinking about that and actually visited with a realtor that called me up. He saw it in the paper we were going to do it, and I was visiting with this realtor and said, you know, the only way I know that it would be fair to do it is to list it who wants to be listed in it. Maybe, again, use the boundaries we've kind of gone with here before you got reside and work in the Floresville ISD market boundary, and then we'll just put your name in the hat and draw straws. That is realistically the only way
that's a fair way to do it.
Just toss it up and.
That realtor was,
Get the mayor to draw it.
unfortunately, she can be excellent.
But I would like to let y'all know that Saturday at my Rotary Shrimp Boil, I was approached by Dr. Hunkelpiller and Rachel Pena, the board member, that they are interested in purchasing the beer warehouse. And they wanted y'all to know that they would like to be considered.
So I think we have an interest, we just need to go, let's come down here and try to go with this. Y'all want to go with selecting a realtor to give us a market value analysis or broker's opinion? Or you really want to go out with an appraiser to get a fair market value?
I think the broker's opinion is
We
the way
better
to
save
go
the
because
$2,500 to get
it's not only that, it's just double the work because they're gonna have to get it appraised anyway when they buy the property.
Not only that, they call the realtors.
Mhm.
We call Ms. Brown all the time.
Sure.
And
Can you
that's
give us
what they're gonna
properties to
do.
compare?
So, okay, we're gonna lean toward going through a broker's opinion and market value analysis. So now then we're gonna need to select out what terms we're gonna do and how we're gonna do it. If we want to only use realtors that reside in a certain geographic area, or you want to allow any realtor to list it from anywhere in the state?
You want the best price, I mean, so why would you limit it? I mean, wouldn't that broaden the horizon a little bit?
I can add to that, because they will know the area.
Well,
Just like all these realtors that come in from San Antonio, and the local realtors do the job for
well,
them.
yeah.
And not only that, it can be listed on the MLS.
That's gonna be good.
Everybody
And
knows.
when they hit the MLS,
And-
they can be in El Paso, and they want, somebody want to relocate, if it's a local broker, local realtor has it listed, it's gonna show.
Mhm.
And from experience attending out of area realtors, brokers, appraisers and all, there's a lot to be said by having a local competent agent handling it.
Handle a lot of real estate, yeah.
And there's a large possibility you're going to have the selling agent is listed outside somewhere else, it's all MLS to bring some here to deal with the agent. And that way we could also have us a seller's agent representing us instead of a dual agency or intermediary too. So, let's go back to the question, are we going to want to come in here and go outside anywhere? Or you want to try to limit it to brokers? And then I'd like to, if you'd allow, maybe Ray and I to get together and come up with some criteria to tell the brokers, this is the terms that we're gonna let you list it at. It can be 6 months. I'm just using an example. We'll pay you 5%, but if we get a direct sale where it's not yours, we're only gonna pay you 1% if we do it without you something. I'm just asking, just using those suggestions, but we need to go to the brokers and realtors with a proposal of what they would be fair for them too.
Here's enough qualified local people.
Well, so are you saying that, y'all want to work on that and make a recommendation then?
I would like to,
Yeah.
You wanna
that's
combine
fine.
the two.
yeah, I would like to do, for the appraiser, we're gonna end up, according to your wishes, your desire, the motion is gonna be in the minutes that we're going to ship a commercial appraisal and use with a market value analysis prepared by one of the local realtors to be selected.
And we're gonna select that local realtor how?
That's a good question, that's what I've been asking. We talked about draw and straw for the ones that want to do it, but what criteria you want to use to reduce this down to who?
Everybody may not want their name in the hat.
That's right, and that when we tell them they may not.
Well, so what, would we put an advertisement in the paper or?
It'd be easy at that point in time, if we say we're gonna only use, local realtors, and do that, we can go through the paper, we can find the local realtors that have 830-216, or local addresses, to contact them, say, here's the solicitation sheet, request for proposal, we're giving you, you wanna put your name in the hat. That's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something to think about too in the future as we, of course, we're getting rid of a bunch of stuff but as we start to move more land and do more projects, opposed to always going back to the hat game. We might start thinking about some of the interested people that want to sell work, a rotation system. You know, I'm not saying a particular project, but as we do more and more business,
A little more
we're
sophisticated.
a little more
than
than just a luck of the draw. Yeah, I think that's a
Well,
way to rotate
those
it.
relationships develop and you really have to reinvent the wheel. every time.
Exactly. But this time we're gonna have to understand that.
Yeah, and then if you get the next one, your name, you can't be selected next time, or something like
Yeah,
that.
there's something we can, you know,
I'm telling you, if, one of the realtors at Pat Brown, if we pick them, there'd be some backlash because of Mayor Garza's on there, so we really just have to be,
But as long
to
as
be
they
fair, we
sell
need
it,
to be careful.
as long as
Yeah.
I wasn't touching anything.
That's why we have to
yeah.
do draws and not include.
And you can't punish Pat because she works there, so.
We can't pat Ted or any of that, is that correct? So we can either take that as a motion under those advisements, or we can table it to bring it back with a better proposal to help move it forward.
I tend to, I think in this situation, we need to rely on the two in here that has the most land experience, and that's Andy and yourself, Ray. So I would be completely fine with letting y'all move forward with preparing a solicitation, and then allowing Ram to contact those to fulfill that, and then we'll do a drawing, because I don't think this is something that we just necessarily need to, you know, keep pushing down
No.
the road. I think we need to go ahead and get on it, and get
We're
it
getting
done.
calls and we need to use the money.
Yeah, and so, I move that Andy and Ray work together on, some solicitation criteria for selecting a broker, real estate broker, to do market value do market value, analysis on the, two properties, as well as, allowing that selected agent to be listed on the beer warehouse property.
Okay, just strictly the beer warehouse, or we want them to do the Rancho Grande too?
Well, we can do both of them, so I'll amend it to include the house at Rancho Grande and the beer warehouse.
Okay, now this is a little bit of a breach here, and I apologize, I didn't see this, but I could see these two were interrelated. We're kind of going out on the fringes here of what's in the agenda, but
Maybe it's better to do separate motions.
well, one of them just talked about the appraisal of Rancho Grande Industrial Park, it doesn't talk about listing it. The second one talked about hiring a real estate agent, so but that literally is what needs to happen. And because of that, and I appreciate the compliment, I would really prefer tabling it at that time. And then the next time, we can sit down
Reconstruct.
and put this, correct this, and bring it back. If it behooves y'all, and it's fine, we might meet prior to that period of time. At that point in time, we can make a recommendation at that point too, if that would be.
Yeah, I would agree.
Move it along.
It's not really as detailed as we need it to be. So,
So,
So we need to make a motion to table both E and F.
that would be my recommendation to, at this point in time. And then Ray and I'll meet.
And we'll take it up under old, well, we still be new business.
Well, you could just, we can vote it down, but we might be best to say no, we vote against it. Go ahead and bring it up one item at a time, say no, vote no. That is the best thing to happen here. Just motion would be not to engage, obtain appraisal on the industrial park, and then later on, not to authorize, executive director to select a real estate agent. Again, just trying to maintain proper protocol.
okay, item E, I move that we decline to obtain an appraiser for the house at Rancho Grande Business Park at this time.
All in, any second? Got 2 seconds. First was Mike Curry. Any further discussion? All in favor of not selecting the appraiser to appraise house at Rancho Grande Industrial Park, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Item F.
Can you amend item F just to exclude the sale of the beer warehouse so that y'all can put your criteria, because you're gonna be putting that out 2 more months?
I'm sorry, but I don't think we can amend this
Okay.
if it's been published. I think it is set, cast in the public notice without, and this is what we have to vote on. I'll take any other opinion, but I believe this is what was published and we need to act on the way it's published.
So I would move then on item F, to not authorize the interim executive director to select a real estate agent to promote the sale of the warehouse property at this time.
Have a motion by Mary Helen Teakin. Have a second. Ray Lambert. Do we have any further discussion? The motion is made is not to authorize interim executive director to select a real estate agent to promote sale of the beer house warehouse property. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion failed. Or the motion passed, not to. So we need to go into an executive session, so I'll need a motion.
We close our regular session and move into executive session?
We adjourn.
Adjourn, okay.
Have a motion to adjourn our open meeting. Have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn our open meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Ladies and gentlemen, if we can, you can